Hey there, good morning. It is 8:57 a.m. It is Tuesday morning, November 25th, and I am up and ready to do whatever, okay? Like I just want to do something spontaneous today. What that is, I don't know. All right, now I can tell you by the looks of it, it looks like it's going to be a dreary day. Unfortunately, so let's see what I can do today. We'll figure it out. But for right now, I'm just going to hang out in my room and listen to some music, and then hopefully the inspiration will start to flow. Now, earlier this morning, before I actually got out of bed, I was doing some thinking, and I was thinking back to, I don't know if this was a month ago or maybe 2 months ago, but I talked about my son, and how he doesn't understand how deep, gang stalking it really goes. He doesn't understand how invasive it is and how it reaches areas that you would think that wouldn't, like, for example, I had mentioned that he made some attempts to purchase a bicycle, right, which is something he needs. Okay, we don't have like consistently running vehicles, so we need an alternative form of transportation. This is a completely legitimate purchase, okay, as if that's anybody's business, okay. But these issues were kind of declined. The first few attempts were declined. Now, he didn't think anything of it, right? But I understand how these warped cults work, okay? They want you to feel like they have power and control. And do I believe that there was some sort of data bank declining his purchase? I have a suspicion that there is. Now, and I tried to explain this to my son, and my son dismisses it. I understand it as me being a targeted individual, a victim of human trafficking, and the fact that this was my so-called reputation as to how people were basing how they treated me was based on the church. Okay, so what my son needs to understand is that is a worldwide issue. That is, he needs to understand that when he encounters people, they're not just random people. Okay, and so he doesn't know to be careful. And I love my son very much, okay? But I'm also upset with the fact that there's some infiltrators that had come into our lives and deceiving them, with the purpose and an intent to deceive my son. Okay, now a couple of weeks ago, this is what I first thought about when I got up this morning. I remember there was a girl that came to our house I don't know if it was a few weeks ago or a few months ago. Really, I don't, okay? Because like I said, every day is the same, okay? But I just know that she came over, and, I wanted to make sure the house was clean and at least presentable, because, sometimes it gets a little messy downstairs. My son's a guy, everything. So anyway, we were cleaning up, and then she came over, and I noticed that, I was thinking in the back of my mind, I'm not, I understand. I want my son to have a social life. I want him to have friends. I want him to have friends. And he told me that this was a girl that he talked to, and they both shared this interest in this particular video game. So, okay, fine, whatever. But in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, and when this girl left, I remember thinking, okay, I don't know if I had a discussion with my son, but I did want my son to understand that we can't trust everybody that comes near us. We just cannot, okay? And when you think about it, like, when I had said that this was a church issue, that means churches were spoken to all around the country, all around the world, about, us, okay, like me. And then of course they're going to talk about me having a son and everything else, okay. So my son needs to wake up, okay. I do get the intuitive message that my son is happy, like he's content or happy, or at least uh, glad that I addressed this through a video. Okay, now I know that he is very hush hush when I try to talk to him in person, right? And this could be because of the high level cult indoctrination that these people have no right to sit here and inflict on him. Okay, the intuitive message I'm getting right now is this has something to do with Vladimir Putin. Okay, so let me explain. This particular girl, she came to the house and she didn't say much, okay, but she was sitting on the little sofa couch that we have in the living room. She was sitting here watching my son, and she didn't say much, okay, but I immediately kept thinking, I don't trust this girl. I don't trust her. Okay, so this morning, first person who popped in my head was this girl. Okay, and I got the intuitive download, a download, not by cards or anything else. I got the intuitive downloads that she was coming into our lives on purpose to be a spy. Okay, for no other reason. Okay, so she wanted to scope out, how we lived, and she was probably and then the other match that I got was she was associated with Mary Landucci. Okay, she was associated with Mary Landucci. and also that she had something to do indirectly with like the Valley Strong Credit Union check holdup. Okay, I'm going to tell this little bitch to get out of our lives. Okay, I don't want you anywhere around my life. I don't know who in the world do you think you are to sit here and appoint yourself as some sort of official to come around and act like you had some sort of authority. You don't have any authority. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is you were adopted, therefore I am not obligated to to be responsible for anyone other than myself. So this is what I'm talking about. Okay, when you encounter these people, oftentimes these are people that are sent to you by the network or the perps or whatever. You stay the hell out of my life. Do you understand that? I don't even remember your name. When my son mentioned her name, I was like, who is that? And he told me, and I'm like, she's not worth remembering. So I forgot your name. The only reason why I'm thinking about it right now is because I woke up with this person's name on my face in my mind. Okay. And the reason why is because this whole issue about my check being held up. Okay. Because like I said, my transactions going forward, they all better be smooth. I'm tired of people trying to interject, their opinions or what they think or how I'm supposed to live. It is none of your business. We do not run this country on Christian values. Yes, we do. Okay, there are some people who do, okay, but I am not responsible or obligated to follow your little doctrine of religion. Okay, and this is what I'm talking about now. I also got the intuitive message that this had a lot to do with her and trying to block. These people talk about this stuff, and really, before all of this, I became a victim of human trafficking and everything. I never realized how people would sit here and try, and they talk about this stuff on YouTube, like so and so trying to block your union and stuff like that. From a legal standpoint, I never realized that people do this sort of stuff. Like how they sit there and target people's relationships or friendships. I never realized because I knew that sort of interference, employment interference, all that kind of stuff was illegal. Okay, it's illegal. Okay, and so you get these little vigilante groups, a little fat girl that came, yes, she was fat, okay? And I kept thinking in the back of my mind, God forbid my son have a relationship with her. The absolute no. I do not want any grandchildren produced by this woman, period. Okay, so anyway, so I asked my son, she is just a friend, right? Because I know that you can do a whole lot better. Okay, so anyway, um, where was I going with this? My issue is that talking about uh her and these excuses that this has nothing to do with when people uh try to prophesize. The idea of prophesizing, when you try to convert people to a certain religion, right? Okay. So the idea is because you want to save their soul. That is it. Okay. You want to save their soul, meaning you don't want their soul to perish in anguish. You want them to live good, wholesome lives. I will tell you, most individuals, I don't care if they go to a church or not, deep down inside, they could give two doodly squat fucks about somebody's spiritual life. Okay, I care about people's spiritual life. Okay, I'm one of those weird people that when people pass away, I'm sitting here praying for their soul. I don't want people to go into the afterlife this way. Most people don't think about that. The reason why they're sitting there in church is, number one, a lot of times they feel social pressure to do so. Okay, and the only reason why they sit here and badger other people about their spiritual lives or where are you with God is because they're secretly envious and trying to strategize how to destroy your life. Okay, this little girl who came over to my house, she had no interest in that. She was all about the Vladimir Putin, union is what she was interested in. And before, this has probably happened before I even realized it. Because Vladimir Putin, I don't recall him being in my third eye until whatever, okay? But my point is that you get these people who sit here and plot and scheme and they have no interest about my spiritual life. Okay, now what I want to say is that there are some people who want us to go to church because some people, because they've been like a traditionalist or whatever, they just do it because they've been into church their entire lives or whatever. I do not need any governing authority in life. Okay, what's unique about me is I self-govern. Okay, meaning like I already know right from wrong. Okay, and there's two different governments that we should respect here on this planet. Okay, heavenly, that means the divine. Okay, that's the divine authority. Divine authority. Okay, and then the authority of man. Now, unfortunately, and then the authority of man includes people like presidents, governors, mayors, the people who have been appointed to govern the whatever. So, like, for example, there's rules that we have, like laws. Okay, laws. Okay, by abiding the law, we are respecting these people in these positions. Do you understand? Okay, so I'm trying to make you guys understand how all this works. All right, so when it comes to the govern the earthly authorities, okay, earthly authorities also trickle down into, for example, we have lawmakers, decision makers, and we have people like who are supposed to be enforcing the law. Now, I am a law abiding a citizen, okay, and yes, I would theoretically respect earthly law, okay? But people like the Bakersfield Police Department, I don't respect them. Not, at least not right now. And I do think that they're trying to go through some sort of revision or whatever, but I don't sit here and break the law. I don't break the law. Okay, like so some of the laws that I was talking about, comparing the Ten Commandments to, like, for example, secular law. Okay, like, okay, for example, do not murder. Okay, here that would be spiritual law or the heavenly authority, because you're abiding by a heavenly authority, right? You're not doing killing anybody because you want to make sure that you are right in alignment with the divine, right? Okay, so then we have the earthly authorities. Okay, so we kill somebody, we might end we should end up in jail. That is, of course, if we have law enforcement that's doing their due diligence. Okay, and unfortunately, there's not. Okay, we have a confusion. We have these intertangled with corrupt officers, not participating in things like gang stalking and everything else. And this is what I'm talking about. Okay, now when it comes to me respecting authority, I don't need to go to church. See, I don't need to go to church, okay? And I'm glad that I don't. You know why? Because this is how these people got by with their MK Ultra mind indoctrination. And I would say the majority of the people who've gone to church their entire lives have been indoctrinated with this. And don't get me wrong, that sort of MK Ultra or those sort of related programs have messed my life up too. And I don't even go to church, okay? But I don't break the law, okay? And I'm careful about spiritual laws or earthly laws. Okay. And like I said, I respect the law, meaning, like, I'm not going to say, I don't steal. I don't kill. Okay. I don't sit here and I don't sit here and slander or what do you call it? Slander or commit libel or anything like that. So you know how it talks about in the Bible, like, do not speak false witness against your neighbor. That's exactly what that is. Okay, so then we have they're very comparable. They're very comparable. It's just that, you know what, when it comes to spiritual life, you're going to have to deal with the consequences when you die. Okay, earthly life, they can drag you to jail for many years. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, and you have to understand what constitutes a crime. What constitutes a crime is not the sort of things that these people are making a big deal out of. Okay, yes, I have the right to sit here and wear clothes. I have the right to buy clothes. I have the right to have a credit card. I have the right to have a bank account. I don't need to ask anyone's permission. Okay, so these people have criminal behavior. Okay, and yes, I hope that this girl is humiliated to the point that she just takes herself out. I'm done. And the message I'm getting right now is that people are speculating that me and Vladimir Putin are going to have a relationship of some sort. Yes, it is not your right to sit here and try to block it. Okay, because you know good and well this had nothing to do with my eternal soul. You don't care doodly squat about it, and you know it. Okay, I'm tired of the bullshit. Okay, so I'm adjusting my soul tribe on this issue. Okay, because I am so tired of it. I am so tired of it. Okay, I get really sick and tired of people who act as if they're so professional and they know what they're doing is nothing more than organized crime. So that little bitch that came to my house and was sitting on my couch, taking up my space, and I did feel like cleansing my house after she left, okay? Because like I said, I don't believe that ever just anybody can be trusted, okay? My home is a sacred place, okay? I look at my family as a sacred, what do you call it? It's sacred. Why? Because they're an extension of me. And if you love yourself, then you love your offspring. And if you love your offspring, then you want your house to be peaceful, okay? And I don't want demonic forces in my house, okay? And they could easily creep in. And this is what my son doesn't understand, okay? Not everybody in this world is your friend, okay? So for all these years, I've dealt with the walking dead, people who've been indoctrinated by their churches, and they're going to come into my workplace and come in and sit here and cop some sort of attitude with me, okay? And I've had to deal with that for years. Not just my life as Maria Gordon, but remember C.B. Braganza, the guy who's out here and tried to settle down from one state to another and was run out of town and had to sit here and ended up in a nursing home or whatever, and he ended up taking out his life, okay? That's I'm telling you, religious people need to just stay the hell out of people's business, okay? We don't need your religion, okay? I don't need your religion. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is that I, I keep getting the message that it's safe for me to be friends with Putin. And you need to understand, we need to have friendships that are relatable. Okay, we've probably been surrounded by people who I've been around abusers all my life. That's all I've known. Okay, at home, at school, the workplace, and they're all highly indoctrinated by and thinking that I'm something that I'm such a bad person. No, I am a righteous person, for real, for real. Okay, and the message I'm getting right now is that people are recognizing that my story has a mystical and prophetic feel to it. I've noticed this, and this is one of the reasons why some of these people from my past want to apologize. You know what I mean? And I get it, but you need to understand what you represent to me. Okay, I want to move forward, and I understand that it's, you know, you guys have we may have lived in the same neighborhood when we were growing up. We may have done these sort of things, but in the inner core, I am not like everybody else. This just transcends the racial issue, okay? And I know, I mean, you would probably among my soul tribe, I'm going to be a lot different, okay? But we do have a unique thing. We were set up by the church. That's important to know. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is that many failures, failure to all competitors. So these people have been trying to stomp me out. They've been trying to, like, you know, destroy my life, trying to, monitor, things that I have. That's none of their business. They've been enacting illegal practices in the workplace, within the community, all of this human trafficking stuff. Okay, so my son needs to be aware of this. I'm sure he'll watch this video at some point. Okay, knock it off. Knock it off. I deserve to be around people who I can relate to. Okay, and I would think that Vladimir Putin and I would have a lot to talk about. Okay, it's all about being among the kind of people that you feel you would have a click with. Okay, and for you to sit here and try to obstruct that, you're damn evil. Okay, especially when you know that you do not have any genuine friendship to offer me. You have nothing to offer me but abuse. So then you don't want me to have any sort of connections. You're evil, is what you are. That's what you are. Okay, and so I don't remember that girl's name, but like I said, I'm sure my son's going to see this video at some point, and you know how I feel about her. Okay, and I'm always going to put my son's interest and my son's safety at the top of the thing. And he doesn't understand, just how wicked people are. Okay, I realize how people sit here and scratch and claw over these ridiculous jobs that don't add to absolutely no fulfillment whatsoever, but they want to monitor over it and govern over it, and they want to sit here and debate about whether or not you're supposed to be where. It's none of your damn business. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is that I have proved that mental illness exists within these Christian people. And yes, it does. Like I said, there's no way in the world that you could sit here and talk about clones and sit here and obscure their true identity, their true nature, their true origins, and you're going to sit here and enforce, leaders of churches are going to sit here and enforce negative feelings within their congregations about a person. So they're basically creating some sort of propaganda to attack and have no regard for an individual. So a person has to stand on their own. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is that many employees will be losing their jobs at Valley Strong Credit Union. Good. Now, I have not talked to the girl from work yet. I'm going to talk about work, the girl who sent me the check via whatever. I haven't. I think she does understand that I will not be able to start my job until that check clears, okay? Like I said, it's out of my hands, okay? I am not going to sit here and call the credit union to deal with it, to purposely be dealt with, because I understand these people want to do their little harassment tactics. That's all they're going to do, okay? And I'm tired of it. So this is why I'm trying to get my soul tribe to understand. We need to get people in here to, and the intuitive message I'm getting is something about me being over the age of 18, about me having authorization over my own money. Okay. Now, when I signed my agreement with Valley Strong Credit Union, I did not see anything about anything other than me verifying the fact that I was illegal, legal, and that I have authorization to have that. That any third party's got some sort of additional thing to say about it, guess what? You're breaking the law. Okay. No one has any authorization over my account, so I suggest you fix it. Anyway, what other thing am I talking about? So something about weed, me smoking weed, none of that. That was not a part of my application when I got on Valley Strong Credit Union. They didn't ask me if I smoked weed, if I wore certain clothes, none of that. Okay, stop your gang stalking. Okay, stop it. Okay, I'm tired of it. You know what I mean? And it's like they're just trying to create an issue so that I will not be with Vladimir Putin, and that's exactly what it is. Okay, and so I do believe that girl was sitting here trying to indoctrinate my son with certain things. My son needs to distance himself from that person. Okay, I mean, we cannot be friends with everybody. We just cannot. We cannot be friends with everybody. Okay, so hopefully Vladimir Putin hears this message. You do what you can on your end. I would have preferred to start my job that day. I'm the kind of person that's like, okay, we say something, we're going to agree to something, let's do it that day. And so, I knew that when she said she was going to go ahead and give me a check, I kept thinking my biggest fear is that I know that I'm a victim of human trafficking. Okay, and I understand that these people have been set up to sit here and create problems for me. Okay, I don't trust people in my community. I don't trust them at all. Okay, so they know that they can't sit here and get away with anything with me because I understand I'm a victim of human trafficking. That means that everybody is in on it. If they're not through church affiliations, then it's through some other thing. Okay, so it's not, like I said, I'm polite to everybody. Good morning, whatever, and I get on about my business. Okay, so my son doesn't understand how deep human trafficking is. He doesn't understand how deep. I'm going to call it cause stalking. Okay, why? Because cause stalking it's the same thing, but this is what it is when it refers to religious groups or cults. Okay, so in this case, yes, this is what it is. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is that people recognize that I do have the best philosophy in life, and that Putin does consider me his girlfriend. How cool is that? Anyway, so yeah, I'm not really wanting to deal with anybody's garbage. If my soul tribe has any say in it, or if they have any ability to affect what's going on at my credit union or whatever, I would really appreciate the assistance. And I need to get on with my life, okay? Regardless of who Putin or whoever. It's like, these people are so selfish. This is why I laugh at their lies about, oh, we're doing this because we're Christians and stuff like that. No, you're doing it because you're jealous. Period. And you're evil. Okay? Because obviously you know that I've encountered so many things, so many heartaches. I deserve to get back to work. You know what I mean? So my son needs to understand people cannot be trusted. Period. They can't be, and to a lot of people that would be very heartbreaking. Like, because you don't understand, if you start looking back in your timeline, you're going to realize, okay, these people came into my life because da 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 da, and a lot of these people were just nothing but setups. It is what it is. They're just setups. They're nothing more than a setup. And see, this is what I'm talking about. If churches influence people to live a fake life, pick up fake friends, pick up fake spouses, wear a double mask around these people. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you, you are masking yourself in mental illness. This is why I want nothing. And so this is why I choose not to have anything to do with the church, okay? For good reason. Because, I've seen, like I said, my sister, but Tanya, I saw Tanya have mental illness. I remember the kids and how arrogant they were about their so-called Christian faith and how they would be boastful about it. And the only reason why they're being boastful about it is because they get to go to church and talk about who they're going to plot to kill. That's all they are. So I'm going to tell you what, I don't respect churches. So don't come around here trying to act like, well, I need to respect authority. I do respect authority when it is respectable. Now, I already self-govern, so I'm not going to be killing anybody. I'm not sitting here, bearing false witness against anybody. I ain't doing any of that sort of stuff. Okay. I don't need to worry about authority. Okay. It's you who need to worry about authority. And like I said, I respect authority. I respect earthly authority. Okay. Whatever, I abide by the law, which means that I abide by earthly authority. But I said, but when it comes to places like Bakersfield police departments, they're going to have to earn my respect. Okay. And yes, I do. I mean, the people at Valley Strong Credit Union, I don't care about them. Hey, right now it's the responsibility of the management, and if the managers are in on the Valley Strong Federal Credit Union bullshit, then they need to bring some sort of auditor in there, and they need to know that they should not. And I would say going forward, people who are part of auditing agencies, they need to have some sort of sworn statement that they are not a part of any sort of vigilante group, that they are not going to be biased in their auditing. Okay, because that's really what all that boils down to. Okay, it's about people overlooking things on purpose so that people can continue to perpetrate human trafficking and gang stalking activities. period. Okay. And when I think about the banking system, you know what? A lot of that can be replaced with AI. We don't need that many bank tellers. I would say ATMs are quite sufficient. I would say depositing your check is quite sufficient. Now, what needs to be done in the future, I believe those things are called MIR mark, those little digits on checks and stuff like that. Checks are kind of like, kind of old and outdated to a lot of people. Okay. But if it could be made so to where, when you make these deposits online, those little mark numbers could be read and automatically cleared through a bank account. That would speed. Okay, I accidentally stopped my recording, but that would speed up this process. Okay, so check clearing and things like that could be more expedient. Okay, there would not be any holds. I don't believe that there is any reason to be held at Valley Strong Credit Union. I will tell you, overall, I was pretty impressed with the expediency of Valley Strong Credit Union when I first signed up because they issued an ATM card immediately. But I know that check clearing is now far more easier than it was at any time before in history. Okay, I know that checks can clear immediately if I know that it can. So they should move to that. Okay, I'm fine with getting rid of bank tellers altogether. Why should they have jobs? Okay, why do we need bank tellers? We don't need bank tellers. We don't need them. Okay, all you need to me is, I would say, what do you call it, direct deposit would be good. Okay, if people do get paid by checks, then that can be deposited online. And I'm talking about eliminating people, not just positions, but like, people dying in the street at this point. Good, because we need some sort of cleansing. We can't sit here and have all these people, being human scrap heaps and being the evil people that they are. And yes, these people are identified as evil. There is no other explanation for it. Okay, how many times do I need to tell people to leave me alone? Okay, but they want to send their spies. They want to do this. They want to mess with your food stamps. They want to force you out of the workplace. They want to sit here and create problems with your check. Okay, all because they're jealous. Okay, because they don't want you to have any friends of your own. They don't want you to have any sort of social life, but they want to sit here and be close to you. And I can only hate you people. Okay, the Maryland Duchies, the fat slob bitch that came over to my house a few weeks or months ago or whatever. All these people, I hate them. Okay, I hate them. I will never be with their friends. Okay. The only thing I can do is be polite to you, like, hello, good morning, and get my stuff and move on. And it is what it is. Okay. You can't sit here and launch a hate campaign against somebody and expect people to be happy about it. Okay. So the intuitive message I'm getting right now is that I am at peace with all the religions. I'm glad. I'm glad. I hope that there is an auditor. I don't know what auditors. Now, see, I need to make a list of all agencies because right now I'm working on that video about different auditing agencies. Who audits who? Who audits who? Like, I know that there's auditors. There's got to be auditors that audit places like Valley Strong Credit Union. And what I'm talking about is audit for things like notations on people's account. Like, is there some sort of notation on my account that says, causes person problems, or Maria smokes weed, so don't. If that is illegal. When I signed my contract with Valley Strong Credit Union, those are not the stipulations that I agreed to. No one asked about it, so I do not need to be penalized for it. Okay, I'm tired of these stupid people who think that they know their jobs, and they're constantly proving themselves that they do not. They do not. I don't care. I don't care what college they went to. They are the most ignorant people I have ever known. Okay, and I can't stand them. Okay, you know why? Because they're the most pompous people in the world. Like I said, they're always proud that they can sit here and produce things like, oh, I can process this, leave paper, or, they call themselves HR representatives. They're nothing to me. Like I said, if I could sit here, and I have in the past, I've written procedures on how to hire people, how to evaluate people, how to terminate people, how to process things like time off, how to process things like, paperwork. Anybody can do that. I could take an 8th grader off the street and tell them, hey, follow these instructions and do this, 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 and this. Oh, hey, no problem, right? Anybody can do that. As long as you can read and you can comprehend it, you can do that job. Guaranteed. Okay. So what is the real meat and potatoes of their job? The legalities. And this is what they failed to do. So get them out of here. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is that people are now seeing that I am an analytical person. I've always been an analytical person. And I felt like no reason to ever prove that to anybody. Okay. I don't need to prove that to anybody. Okay. I've always been, people knew me as a goofy person. I'm going to tell you right now, I love silly humor. I love things that make no sense. I love nonsensical stuff. I love what's absurd. I love absurd humor. You know why? Because it's taking a seat back from my serious life that I have to live. So, a lot of people who get into comedy, some people who are severely depressed are actually comedians. Like, for example, we know that Robin Williams committed suicide, right? No, I'm not saying I'm that dark, okay? But what I'm saying is, it's that, people sometimes reach for the other extreme because they need escape. I didn't escape. I needed escape when I was a kid. I was very silly when I was a kid, okay? And I still love silly stuff, okay? That doesn't mean, and when it comes to the employers who sat here and wanted to believe that, they know good and well when they gave me assignments, I completed them. They knew good and well that I took care of my work. They knew good and well that I came to work on time. They knew good and well that I was doing my job, okay? So they wanted to paint me off as a goof. Okay, so now you understand that you guys are nothing but criminals, okay, including the people at Valley Strong Credit Union for participating in human trafficking. I expect my stuff to get fixed, okay? The intuitive message I'm getting right now is that something about my father's apparition and him being in spirit form. Alita blew her brains out. She knew she was in. She knew she screwed up. Alita knew she screwed up. She knew it, okay? She knew that initially it was fun for her, and I'm pretty sure she probably screwed a lot of people like this over, and a lot of people do. I remember, seeing people get terminated at my job, and then the boss saying things like, "You'll never work in this city again," or "I'm going to make it so." Oh, I remember this guy saying that he fired this one guy. No, this guy quit his job, and then an employer called to get a reference, right? And this dude said, "I'm going to give this dude bad reference," and the good dude wasn't even at fault. Okay, but this guy felt like he was, felt powerful because he was basically somebody who felt like I'm in charge of this dude's fate. I got all this control. It gives people this God complex. To make sure that they could end up making somebody homeless or something, and they get off on it. Okay, so I'm tired of these abusers in these workplaces, and that's exactly what they are. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is that me and Vladimir Putin are, what do you call it? Friends. Okay, we're friends. Okay, when it comes to people thinking that I need some sort of authority over me, I can self-govern. I respect the authority figures in their places. I don't sit here to desecrate them. I abide by the law. That is how you show your respect to the leaders. Okay, we abide by the law. That means I don't create problems. I don't create issues within their countries, within their cities, within their whatever they have, what do you call it, jurisdiction over. I don't like to litter, it's that sort of stuff. Okay. So I am moving on without the people of my past. Thank goodness. You need to understand how traumatic it is for me to know that you guys would sit here and talk to me, smile in my face, and you were nothing but deception. I look at you guys as like, how in the world can you do something like that? Okay, and I understand we're all looking back on this whole MK Ultra related type program. I get it, okay? But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's dark to me. It's just really dark. Okay, so I'm glad to be moving on. Okay, and like I said, for people to know that I went through something like that, and then to continue to do it, this is why I'm saying that girl that my son brought over to the house, or that who came over to my house, she's evil. Okay, and my son needs to know it. She's wicked. She's wicked. She sees suffering, and she sits there and continues to contribute to it. She is evil. The people at Valley Strong Credit Union are evil. The people, that I've dealt with and worked with, they are evil. Okay? And yes, evil in the churches. And see, this is what I'm talking about. Same thing in the Bible. Like, okay, this is why I'm saying, okay, like when I talk about the Bible, about the broad and spacious is the road leading to destruction. Look how many people go to church. Look how many people go to church. Look how many people go to church, whether they want to or they're forced to, okay? Look how many people are led astray. Think about it. That's quite a number of people, right? You'll be surprised. But most people who have been indoctrinated with this church, and I will tell you, talking about the fruits of their spirit, I think there's the scripture about how if people are of God or they are of the devil, and it's the fruit of their spirit. I will tell you, I have seen nothing but wicked from church people because of their indoctrination. There is something seriously wrong there. So, and I do believe that even the churches are recognizing it. This is one of the reasons why, people are getting together. I've seen a lot of churches that I haven't seen congregate for a while, and then they're all of a sudden getting together. And the message I'm getting right now is that, yes, I was the reason for the government reopened. And I do believe that this little girl came over to my house, was sitting here spying, and was a part of that. Now, I'm trying to think of the exact timelines as to when she was here. Like I said, my life is so much like the same all the time that it's like, it's hard for me to tell or remember if it was like a week ago or two. I mean, I was more than a week ago, but was it a few weeks ago? Was it a month ago? I just remember her coming over. Okay. And I know that we had issues with the food stamps and all this other stuff. And she was fat. I'm sorry. She was. Okay. And like I said, I don't want to sit here and profile fat people. I don't. Okay. And like I said, I am not somebody who likes to sit here but I cannot ignore the facts. I can't ignore the facts. And then, the two in a message I'm getting is I'm acknowledged and praised in all faiths. And I will tell you that there's a lot of people who acknowledge the same thing. They know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you the truth. Okay. There are certain people who are consumed with demonic forces. Okay. And unfortunately, obese people wear it and you can tell. Okay. It's like they're holding up a sign. It's obvious. Okay, these sort of people are not going to be happy for you when you get your first home. They're not going to be happy for you when you make any sort of milestones in your life or anything like that. They're going to be the kinds of people who are going to sit here and congregate and try to figure out how they can sit here and get it away from you. Because this is the kind of people that they are. And yes, I do get the intuitive message that they were fighting over my Swan Song manifesto and everything else. This is what I'm talking about. Their greed, not just in food, but it's in everything. Okay. Fat people are demonic. I'm saying it right now. Okay. And I remember when I first came to this conclusion, like I hardcore accepted it as a part of my philosophy in my life. I kept thinking, okay, if I was to write this into a book, how outraged people would be if I said this. But I already knew it. You know what I mean? I already knew it. I knew it, but I just kept it to myself. Okay. Now I think we can say I have a solid basis for this argument. Okay. And so now you need to make your decisions. Now, if you're married to one of these, unfortunately married to one of these people, and they've caused you all these sort of problems, I guess, that's a realistic, you have the right to leave these people. I mean, whatever, you know what I mean? I'm staying out of it. All I'm saying is that I want nothing to do with, I'm keeping my distance from people. Okay. And rightfully so. I do not want to be associated with people in the community too deeply. I am here trying to figure myself out. Okay. I really, and obviously it's no offense to people who might have just been on the sidelines, but you have to understand I have every right to protect myself, protect my space. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is that I am free to be recognized as a single and successful woman. I stand alone in power. Yes, I am known for my apparition, my father's apparition, and that my son is happy and he is protected. Okay. And that's really all that matters. Okay. You guys need to understand that the way that you have affected a person's life is based on something very wicked, something very dark, very dark. Okay. And I do get the message that a lot of people are speculating about me and Vladimir Putin. And yeah, I would love to get to know Vladimir Putin. Okay. I need to have friends just like everyone else. Okay. And I would say people need to stay within their certain clique group or their certain, and I feel as though because we have similar origins, I choose to be around people that are most likely going to click with me. Okay. And so people recognize that this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be among these people. That's just how it is. Okay. And yes, I'm always going to be, me and my father are always going to be connected. That does not invalidate me and my father's connection. It has nothing to do with that. Like my father, James Gordon, how he's my apparition. He's going to be with me forever. The intuitive message I'm getting is that, oh my God, people are acknowledging the fact that, yes, they were indoctrinated with the MK Ultra related propaganda for centuries. For centuries. Okay. So think about having a wrong narrative and believing the wrong thing. Our origins and everything else was all a lie. Okay. And all the people that you knew was a lie. And every relationship that you were told to formulate was based on some sort of deception or a lie. I will tell you, mental illness is the only thing that you're going to get out of that. Okay. And like I said, even though I am not a church member, I myself am affected because I was raised among people who were that way and treated me based on what they were raised to believe. So yes, I have been. I've only been affected by MK Ultra, and I want to. And I've been affected by MK Ultra related people who were on that side of the perpetrator side. Okay, now it's time for me to connect with people who have been on the side of being the victim of uh, these MK Ultra related programs. Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's like I need to be among my people, the people that I'm supposed to be around, or get to know people that are like that. That's what I'm saying. Okay, and it is what it is. So anyway, I do not need to. I respect authority, the heavenly authority, most important, and then of course the earthly authority. Okay, and no one has the right to sit here and set that standard. Okay, then people need to understand going forward so that they do not become victims of things like cults and stuff. Nobody has the right to do these sort of things to another individual. Okay, your church membership or your affiliation with a company, if you work for a company or an employee of a company, you only have so much legal rights to do certain things. Okay, you do not invade people's bank accounts. You don't sit here and try to spy on people. My personal life does not conflict with my work life. You know what I mean? There are some times where those things can be an issue. For example, if I was working I had two jobs, and I worked for a company, and then I worked for like their competitor. That is something that cannot be done. Okay, but that would be between me and the employer. Okay, there's a lot of people who take liberties that they really shouldn't. Okay, and you need to guys stay in your own lane. So a lot of people recognizing that yes, they were victims of mental illness. You are still going to deal with mental illness. Okay, I myself deal with mental illness. Why? Because you cannot live through a lie, like a generational lie, and deal with that kind of, reinforced programming like you get at your church. And even me having to not necessarily going to church, but having to deal with the indoctrination of people the indoctrinated people who went to church, putting up with their crap for the rest of the work week. Okay. Yeah. People need to heal, and people can choose to do it collectively. Like, I would say, when I say collectively, is that we can get better therapists. I don't need a therapist. Okay, somebody am very strong. Okay, as a matter of fact, if I had a license, I could possibly do therapy legally. Okay, I am not because I am not licensed to do that. I cannot do that. Can I do that? Yes, I could. Like, people feel very comfortable talking to me about stuff. Okay, and people do believe that I am somebody who resolves people's problems. Okay, but in order to get paid for that, I would have to have a license. I do not have a license to do that. Okay, but if I was to talk to a friend who wanted to talk to me about their problems and their issues and stuff like that, yes, I mean, I could definitely counsel somebody or whatever as a friend, but I cannot do it as what do you call it? Yeah, in order to do that professionally, I would have to have a license. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video, and I will be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye-bye.